Good afternoon. How is everybody on this day, Friday? Um, I went yesterday to the grocery store, a couple of grocery stores, and I am in the southern part of Louisiana, and things aren't, there's enough there for sure, but you can see the empty freezer compartments. You can see the shelves where things are spread out to make it look like it's more full. Um, Now, in southern Louisiana, we had problems due to the hurricane, but from what I hear around the country, it's happening elsewhere. We have ships sitting off of ports for whatever reasons are not coming in. We have ships being diverted to Florida, Houston, that can fit. Some of the ships are too big to come into certain ports, so they're limited to the ports that can handle them. But for the ones that are smaller, I guess, they can come around through the Panama Canal or come around Florida, drop off there, Houston. But we've got supply line problems, and it'll be blamed on the last year and a half, but when people realize that a lot of things are being done intentionally, I don't know if some people will ever realize that. Um, I don't know if they'll realize that at all. Excuses are being made for stupidity, ignorance, incompetence, you name it. If you just have to deal with a public utility company and call them, you'll find out real quick on the people being employed and whatever. And I mean, this has been happening for a long time. Just the lack of knowledge, the lack of competency, the, half-assing everything attitude. The customer is no longer right. Uh, you know, it's just progressively getting worse. And it's sad. It's sad. Um, and you can see this in all professions, the incompetence. I mean, I saw it in teaching. When I taught for years, I was amazed at some of these people had degrees, because degrees are becoming like you can just pick one up, you know. Um, Grades aren't what they used to be, and degrees aren't what they used to be, and nothing is what it used to be. So, for a lot of people, that's very hard to wrap their minds around. They still want to stay within the system and do it like it's always been done, and just stay the same. But unfortunately, in a lot of ways, that's not going to happen. But fortunately, in other ways, if we do this correctly, it'll happen. Because some things need to be corrected. We've been going in the wrong direction for a very, 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 very long time. And I don't know when the wheels came off, but I guess the last thing to go with the wheels we're pretty much done. And I mean, I just thought about this. I mean, the wheels come off. I mean, how many people actually know how to change their tire? Actually change their tire. So many people don't even know how to actually change a tire on a vehicle, let alone oil change, etc. They don't know anything about anything. Their meals are picked up every day. They pay other people to fix things. They don't know how to work around in situations in case they weren't able to hire somebody to fix it. Now, granted, there are big things that you need people to actually do for you. Otherwise, it's going to cause more permanent damage. But people have no analytical skills, no survival skills whatsoever. They cannot think their way out of a wet paper bag. Seriously. And that's what concerns me the most. That is what concerns me the most. If they don't have a particular part sitting there, they have no way of figuring out another way to do it or to possibly make it work. And that's what's going to hurt people. That's what's going to cost them, is not being able to think and be smart about things and create things if they need to get through a certain situation. I had a sink problem. I had a leak. I cut the PVC pipe. I put a funnel within the PVC pipe and then had the pipe above it still draining into the funnel. So I had a gap, but I used the funnel to, take up the gap. And it worked until I could get more PVC pipe and fix it properly. But people can't even think like that. They're and I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about the younger generation. I see it in my own children. It really concerns me. I'm showing them. It's just a lack of even wanting to know, although I have to kind of give them a break. They're in that 15, 16-year-old range where they don't listen to anybody anyway, for any reason. The 16-year-old's pulling out of it. But, to learn that just because you can't buy the part, just because it's not working, doesn't mean that you can't figure out another way for it to work. Problem solving. Problem solving. But back to what we were talking about, supply lines. Make sure that you are stocked up with rice, dry beans, canned foods. Make sure you have a manual can opener to get it open. It's no fun when you have to do it with a knife or something else. Make sure that you have batteries. Make sure that you have, eventually heating is going to become the issue because we're going into winter, especially those of you who are up north. But the southerners can't ignore this either. We can all see what happened to Texas. Okay? So make sure that you have maybe like, what are they, the little buddy things, little propane heaters, a way to maybe possibly burn wood. I need to go get I know this sounds crazy, but it works. I need to go get a tent. I had one, and I finally had to toss it. But I need to go get a tent. And then another thing you can do is a tent within a tent for more insulation in case, especially those of you up north. I would get a tent, and then you can get a tent within a tent too to help for warmth that you can even put inside your house in case. So I would get a tent, and if you can afford another smaller one, get that one too. Or you can create a fort in your house with blankets and tarp maybe over it too. There's ways to make terracotta with tea lights, heaters, and things, but that requires open flame, so you've got to be extremely careful. I know people are really tired of hearing about prepping. I know they are. And they're like, I'm never using this. But in Louisiana, we know how important it is. The one we think is not going to be a big deal turns out to be a big deal, as far as hurricanes and bad weather. So don't get complacent and think that it's just not going to happen. Okay? After last year, I think all of us know that anything is possible, especially when you have people in charge who do not have our best interest at heart. They have their best interest at heart, and their best interest right now is controlling us. And controlling us may, mean that we are put in very perilous positions. We can see people losing their jobs, standing. I completely support them and admire them. I told you last year I have the antibodies. I'm angry that whatever this was brought into our environment and it was in my system. Okay? The citizens of the world are the victims. All right? They're just trying to turn us against each other. And I knew last year when they told me that my antibodies didn't last that we had a problem, because that's a lie. Okay? And it was a hard one for me to grasp. It's a hard one for me to realize that there are people who do not have our best interest at heart, who don't think like me, who do not want the best for others, and could care less about us as citizens, except for what we can provide for them. So, some of you need to wake up. This is not a nanny state. They do not have your best interest at heart. And the more control they have, the less that you will have. And the less that you'll have freedom of any kind whatsoever. I understand we've been losing it. I understand after the Patriot Act. I understand. We will lose more. I'm happy to see people standing up. But we have no choice. It has to be done or it's over. I also worry about, them leading us into stuff that they actually want to happen. But I can't worry about that. I have a line and I'm standing on it, and that's just the way it's going to be. I'm going to protect my family and myself, and civil disobedience. Read it. Civil disobedience. I think Thoreau wrote it. Martin Luther King read it. Gandhi. Civil disobedience. I don't know if it'll still work, but it's worked in the past. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. Never thought I'd ever see anything like this. I highly suspected. I knew things weren't right. I knew the way the system worked, especially when I got in it. it doesn't reward people with morals and values, and it doesn't reward your brightest and your best, because when people get in charge, especially those who are lacking morals and values, the last thing they want is for somebody to have morals and values and be smarter than they are, because that would be a threat to them. So usually your best and brightest with morals and values don't get into the positions that we need them into, because the ones without morals and values don't want them around them. They're a threat. So that's how we ended up here with the people in charge. And I'm not talking about all of them, but unfortunately, a good many. And I've run into them time and time and time again. And because I don't back down, and because I have morals and values, and with respect will stand on those, I had no chance moving up any ladder of any kind. And that's okay. That's okay. Because they're busy climbing the wrong ladder. The wrong ladder. And their ladder doesn't go up. It goes down. They don't even realize it. But hang in there, people. Things are shifting, and you must be prepared always. It's never going to be the way it was. And I'm afraid things are going to get worse before they get better. But I'm praying for better. I'm praying for much better. Y'all have a great day. Bye for now.